The story opens on the busy Liu Wanqing pedestrian street, then shifts to the exterior of a management company. Inside a dim office, a man lights a cigarette and asks a visitor if he truly understands what it means to borrow 5 million yuan. He is revealed to be Jiang Yang, boss of the Dahai gang, and an underground loan shark. Surrounded by guards, the young man sits nervously as Jiang warns him about the brutal interest rates. With no other option left, Chung agrees to accept any terms. Jiang lays out the conditions clearly. A 4% daily interest rate, with 7 million yuan to be repaid in 6 months, as long as an IOU is signed and collateral of equal value is provided. The borrower hands over a commercial housing contract. After checking it, Jiang bluntly states that the aging property is not worth 5 million. Forced to compromise, the young man lowers his request to 4 million, claiming his luck has turned and he will easily earn the money back. Seeing an exploitable gambler, Jiang counters with a final offer of 3.5 million. The deal is accepted without hesitation. New terms are set: 4.9 million must be repaid in 3 months, or the house will be seized. Jiang promises the money will be transferred within 3 days. Before leaving, Cheng adds one final condition, briefly catching Jiang's interest. Soon after, the agreement is finalized, and the guards escort him out. Outside, he checks his phone and confirms the 3.5 million yuan transfer. As he walks away, he mocks the loan shark internally, revealing the truth: an apocalypse will descend in 1 month, and the debt will never be repaid. With the money secured, he prepares carefully, determined to avoid the suffering he endured in his past life. He recalls how a terrifying catastrophe once struck Blue Star. Intense solar radiation drove global temperatures up to 50 degrees, plunging the world into a 30-day apocalypse filled with ruin and monstrous beasts. That disaster completely destroyed his previous life. Back inside the office, Zhang Yang ridicules the borrower as a reckless gambler desperate for fast cash. When a subordinate questions whether obtaining a 4 million yuan house for just 3.5 million seems suspicious, Zhang dismisses the concern. He coldly orders his men to rig the casino results, planning to drain the borrower's funds, seize the house, and eventually sell the young man himself. On the other side, the protagonist walks alone through the evening streets. He glances at his phone with a faint smirk, mocking the loan shark for transferring the money so quickly out of greed. He reveals that he has spent the entire day taking loans from different places across the city and has no intention of repaying a single cent. His confidence comes from knowing what the future holds. He recalls the apocalyptic nightmare where the earth dried up, society collapsed, and resources became more valuable than money. In that timeline, even former billionaires were reduced to begging for water or dying miserably. Grateful for his rebirth, Cheng realizes he has just enough time left to stockpile supplies before the disaster arrives. As he steps into a busy venue to begin his preparations, something ahead catches his attention. He notices a display for the Shuigao Assassin, a notoriously expensive luxury ice cream. The sight triggers an unpleasant memory from his past life, when he struggled to buy the same ice cream for Liu Wanqing, only to realize later that it was a complete waste. This time, he decides to spend money only on himself. He walks to the counter and casually orders 10 of every flavor available. The sudden demand shocks nearby customers, who whisper among themselves, while the clerk hesitates, clearly doubting he can afford such an order. The clerk warns that the bill will exceed 20,000 yuan. A red-haired woman nearby scoffs at his plain appearance and arrogantly declares that she will kowtow in public if he can really pay. Hearing this, Cheng turns with a sharp smile, calmly accepting the bet and making it clear she will not escape the consequences of her words. He then shows his phone to the stunned clerk, revealing a balance of more than 20 million yuan. Pushing things further, he changes his order and states that he wants to buy every single ice cream in the shop. When the manager arrives to handle the situation, he instructs him to calculate the total value of the entire inventory, effectively buying out the store for the day. Manager Fei estimates the total stock to be worth around 1 million yuan. Seeing it as a small price for future comfort, Cheng immediately transfers a 300,000 yuan deposit and arranges for all the ice cream to be delivered to his safe house. Turning to the excited crowd, he announces that every woman in the store can enjoy free ice cream on his tab. He then coldly singles out the red-haired woman, reminding her that she is the only exception and that he is still waiting for her promised kowtow. True to the bet, the arrogant woman ends up sobbing on the floor in humiliation. Chen looks down at her, making it clear that she brought this disgrace upon herself. Later, Chen sits quietly on a bench and finally enjoys the luxury ice cream he won, finding the taste genuinely impressive. While eating, he activates his hidden trump card, a supernatural spatial dimension. Inside this space, time is completely frozen, meaning any supplies stored there will never spoil. The realization excites him. In the coming apocalypse, controlling fresh food will allow him to control people themselves. Chen soon confirms that his supernatural ability has been reborn along with him. This is highly unusual, since such powers normally awaken only after the apocalypse begins. Understanding how valuable this advantage is, he identifies it as his greatest trump card. He calmly plans his next steps, building a secure safe house and stocking it with weapons and energy resources. His thoughts are interrupted by an incoming call from Liu Wanqing. As he stares at her name on the screen, memories surface. After his parents died, she appeared in his life like a savior. But now, Chen recognizes how foolish he once was. The woman he treated as his guiding light was nothing more than a manipulator who wanted his family's inheritance. He recalls how Liu Wanqing endlessly drained his money, demanding a luxury apartment and an enormous bride price while pressuring him to sell his ancestral home. When the apocalypse arrived, Chen risked everything to protect her. In return, she betrayed him without hesitation, offering him up as special material to gain favor with a powerful backer. Treated like livestock, Chen was eventually devoured by a monster, dying a brutal death that left no trace behind. Chen answers the call with a cold expression, deciding that since Liu Wanqing has reached out, it is time to settle old debts. At a high-end hotel, Wanqing answers the phone while wearing a bathrobe. She immediately spins a lie, claiming she lost a precious gold necklace while out with friends and is heartbroken over it. Playing along, Chen casually says he will buy her a new one, then adds that he will buy 10 so she can rotate them. Shocked by his sudden generosity, Wanqing asks how he can afford it. Chen calmly lies, saying he recently made a profit investing in virtual currency and wants to spend it on her. When she questions whether he has been scammed, Chen brushes it off with a dark smile, claiming he plans to go all in next time to prove his success. Chen tells Wanqing that he plans to borrow more capital for an investment but needs a witness to secure the loan. To tempt her, he offers a 5% commission for helping him sign the papers. At the hotel, Wanqing is currently with an elderly rich man, enduring it all for a mere 5,000 yuan. Compared to the huge profit Chen promises, the difference is obvious. Convinced that her ex-boyfriend is too timid to ever deceive her, she ignores any risk and eagerly agrees to cooperate. Chen ends the call with a cold smile, knowing his revenge has already begun. He then turns his attention to survival and meets a contractor outside his property. He orders the man to transform the building into an unbreakable fortress within 1 month, making it fully prepared for the coming apocalypse. Chen lists his strict requirements for the safe house: bulletproof glass, earthquake-resistant walls, and a self-sufficient power supply with advanced air filtration. The contractor is baffled by the demands and secretly mocks Chen as a paranoid rich man obsessed with doomsday fantasies. However, when Chen questions his professionalism as a bunker expert, the contractor senses an opportunity for huge profit. He pretends to worry about the budget, only to be silenced when Chen immediately transfers a 1 million yuan deposit. With the money in hand, Chen tells him to set the final price and insists the project must be completed in exactly 1 month. Delighted by the unlimited budget, the contractor secretly plans to exploit what he believes is a foolish client and secure lifelong wealth. As they shake hands, both men hide their true intentions. The contractor plans to overcharge, while Chen knows the apocalypse will make any final payment meaningless. With construction underway, Chen moves to the next step of his plan. He reflects that when order collapses, human nature becomes more dangerous than any natural disaster, making weapons essential. While cold weapons are easy to obtain, firearms are what he truly needs. He contacts a black market dealer, who quickly responds and tells him to meet at a secret location at exactly 8 p.m. On his way to the meeting point, the quiet night is shattered by chaos. A terrified woman runs down the street, chased by 3 men, shouting threats and insults. They soon catch up, and their bald leader angrily accuses her of cheating in his territory and courting death. Panicked, the woman rushes behind Chen, clinging to him and begging for protection. Chen freezes when he sees her face, instantly recognizing her as Li Yu, and is shocked to see how she has ended up in such danger. The pursuers brutally grab the woman, yanking her by the hair as she screams in pain. As Chen gets a clear look at her face, he suddenly realizes who she is: Li Yu. He remembers her as the famous academic goddess from their middle school days, admired by countless boys. The contrast between her past brilliance and her current desperation leaves him momentarily silent. One of the thugs tightens his grip on Li Yu's hair, demanding money, and crudely suggesting she pay with her body if she cannot. Chen steps forward with a cold expression and orders them to let her go. The blonde thug laughs at his attempt to play hero and rushes at him, throwing a vicious punch meant to cripple him. Chen's eyes flash red as he calmly dodges the attack and counters in one swift motion, grabbing the thug and slamming him hard into the ground. Without effort, Chen twists the attacker's arm and pins him down as the man screams in agony. At that moment, a mysterious interface appears before Chen, informing him that he has unlocked a negative emotion harvesting system. Powered by the fear and pain around him, Chen is stunned, realizing this is an ability he never had in his previous life. Before he can think further, another gang member panics and grabs Li Yu, using her as a hostage and threatening to kill her if Chen moves. Suddenly, a brick flies through the air and smashes into the thug's face, forcing him to release her. A man in a floral shirt steps in, mocking the gang for picking on a helpless woman. Furious, the bald leader swings a metal pipe at the newcomer, but the man blocks it effortlessly and retaliates with a heavy kick. At the same time, Chen calmly avoids a sneak attack from the last thug. In a brief exchange, the floral-shirted man sends one thug flying, while Chen neutralizes the rest. With the gang crushed and sprawled on the ground, Chen coldly tells them to get lost. The thugs flee in terror, their fear and humiliation surging. As they escape, the system absorbs their intense negative emotions. A notification appears, confirming the value has exceeded 10 points and instantly unlocking a major upgrade and expansion of Chen's supernatural storage space. Intrigued by the system's effects, Chen turns to Li Yu. She thanks him for saving her, then quickly excuses herself and leaves. The stranger then introduces himself as Mu Qiang, and Chen immediately realizes he is the black market contact he was supposed to meet. Amused by the coincidence, Mu Qiang strikes a pose and recites their verification code. Chen deliberately replies with an insult instead of the correct response, triggering the system to harvest Mu Qiang's confusion and embarrassment. Chen then laughs it off as a joke and calmly gives the proper countersign, allowing the deal to proceed. Mu Qiang leads Chen to a hidden house and shows him a solid Russian handgun, warning that ammunition is limited. After witnessing Chen's fighting ability, Mu Qiang offers him a special friendship prize. Chen checks the gun, then boldly asks for a free suppressor, a warranty card, and extra bullets. Mu Qiang is left stunned and irritated, internally raging that a black market deal is being treated like a normal store purchase. Anger surges through Mu Qiang, feeding even more negative emotion into Chen's system. Realizing he has pushed too far, Chen immediately drops the demands, transfers the agreed payment, and secures the weapon and ammunition. The scene then shifts to a luxury building, where a woman in a red dress stands by the window, quietly watching the city lights. When Chen arrives, Wanqing complains about the delay, and asks again if everything is safe. Pretending affection, Chen reassures her that it is just a simple formality. Confident in her own judgment and convinced Chen is still blindly devoted to her, she sets her doubts aside. Inside the office, Zhang Yang praises her while she signs the documents. However, his thoughts reveal the truth. Although Wanqing believes she is only acting as a witness, her signature has transferred the entire debt onto her name. Zhang Yang smirks, already anticipating her collapse. As Liu Wanqing signs with smug confidence, Chen watches quietly, satisfied with the trap he has laid. To him, the contract is nothing more than a modern indenture, and her greed has unknowingly paid the final cost for his survival preparations. Later, outside his reinforced home, the contractor proudly announces that the renovations are complete. He claims the structure now meets military standards, featuring blast resistance and extreme heat insulation, even against nuclear-level threats. With everything finished, Chen enters his stronghold. Sitting alone in his living room, he watches the news as reports of abnormal solar flare activity spread across the world, confirming that the apocalypse has officially begun. Inside the Safehouse, emergency news broadcasts warn of non-stop extreme heat waves sweeping across the globe. Chen tightens his grip on the pistol and calmly mutters that the long-awaited moment has finally arrived. He walks to the reinforced window, weapon in hand, and watches as a massive solar flare swallows the horizon. He silently observes as the apocalypse officially begins. The news confirms the disaster, reporting that violent solar activity is driving global temperatures toward a deadly 60 degrees Celsius. From within his fortress, Chen knows this unbearable heat is only the opening stage. Outside, the city descends into chaos almost instantly. Residents struggle on their balconies, already overwhelmed by the scorching temperatures. Seizing the opportunity, a local shopkeeper loudly promotes his goods, warning that water and electricity rationing are imminent. While urging people to stock up, he secretly revels in the profits the crisis will bring him. At a fruit stand, a woman tries to bargain over the price of melons. The shop owner, Li Dafu, eyes the female customers shamelessly, offering them a discount and crudely inviting them to his home to enjoy air conditioning. The women awkwardly turn him down. Moments later, when two men attempt to haggle over bottled water, Li Dafu's attitude instantly turns hostile. He shouts them down and refuses to negotiate. Passing by, Chen notices the scene and recognizes the merchant's true nature with a cold gaze. Inside the shop, Li Dafu corners a timid boy who had merely picked up a dropped package. Taking advantage of the situation, he loudly accuses the child of stealing and grips his wrist, parading him before the crowd as a criminal. The frightened boy desperately explains that he was only returning the item, but Li Dafu ignores him. Mocking the boy's worn clothes, the shopkeeper threatens to drag him to the police unless he pays immediately. The surrounding crowd blindly criticizes the child and his parents, while Chen steps inside. Chen casually picks up a bag of chips and asks sarcastically whether the absurd 50 yuan price means they are made of gold or can prevent heatstroke. The remark instantly angers Li Dafu, feeding Chen's system with negative emotions. The shopkeeper snatches the chips back and yells at Chen to leave if he cannot afford them. Chen absorbs the man's growing irritation, smirks, and issues a quiet warning that with so much hoarded wealth, Li Dafu should be careful his treasures do not disappear overnight. Li Dafu explodes in rage, threatening violence and accusing Chen of losing his mind from the heat. Calm and unmoved, Chen cuts him off, casually asking whether he has been suffering from insomnia, weak legs, and night sweats lately. Caught off guard, Li Dafu pauses and admits he has been experiencing those symptoms, nervously wondering if there is something wrong with the feng shui of his warehouse. Chen steps closer and examines his face, pointing out his darkened forehead and unfocused eyes. With a faint smirk, he confidently concludes that Li Dafu is suffering from a serious physical deficiency. Li Dafu explodes in anger at the insult, but Chen simply turns and walks away. Casually tossing a coin behind him, he mockingly advises the shopkeeper to control his temper, warning that excessive rage could lead to an early death. As the system absorbs Li Dafu's fury, the scene fades into the quiet of the night. Watching a stray cat slip into the darkness, Chen reflects on how he endured bullying in his past life. He vows that in this timeline, he will no longer suppress his anger and will reclaim everything he is owed with interest. Chen immediately puts the shopkeeper's anger to use. He spends the harvested negative emotion points to upgrade his system, expanding his supernatural storage space by 200 cubic meters. With the increased capacity, he activates his spatial ability and carries out his earlier warning. The next day, Li Dafu arrives at his shop and freezes in shock. Standing in the middle of the store, he stares in disbelief as he realizes every shelf is completely empty. His greed instantly turns into despair as he screams, demanding to know who stole his entire inventory. Inside his safe house, Chen watches Li Dafu's breakdown through a surveillance feed. As the system harvests a massive wave of negative emotions from the merchant's misery, Chen calmly drinks a cold soda, savoring both the refreshing taste and his quiet revenge. Li Dafu rages through the empty aisles, shouting in madness before collapsing in despair, unable to accept the loss. Around him, people speculate that he may have staged the incident himself to raise prices. When whispers spread about a strange shadow seen floating through the shop at night, Li Dafu's anger shifts into pure terror, fearing he has been haunted. Blending into the crowd, Chen casually eats chips and observes everything unfold as the system continuously absorbs Li Dafu's anger and suspicion. To push him over the edge, Chen deliberately munches on another bag of chips in front of the distraught shopkeeper, loudly praising the smell. Li Dafu stiffens when he recognizes the packaging. It is unmistakably from his own missing stock. Chen twists the knife by repeating his earlier taunt, casually asking if the chips are made of gold. The words push Li Dafu over the edge. He lunges forward, grabbing Chen violently and screaming that Chen is the thief who stole his goods and now dares to flaunt them in front of him. Li Dafu clutches Chen by the collar, furious at the sight of him eating what looks like his missing stock. Completely calm, Chen asks for proof and mockingly offers the half-eaten bag of chips as compensation for the empty shelves. Although burning with rage, Li Dafu quickly calculates that even without evidence, he can still frame Chen and extort money to recover his losses. Chen immediately turns the situation around by raising his voice and addressing the crowd. He questions whether the desperate shopkeeper is simply trying to blame a random customer, pointing out that chips are sold everywhere. The crowd hesitates, still uneasy about the coincidence but no longer fully on Li Dafu's side. Seizing the moment, Chen proposes a wager to settle the dispute once and for all. He invites Li Dafu to search his home, promising to pay 10 times the value of any stolen goods if they are found. In return, if nothing turns up, Chen demands ownership of Li Dafu's backup generator. Certain he will expose the thief, Li Dafu angrily agrees. When they arrive at Chen's residence, the crowd is stunned by the sheer luxury of the place. While everyone marvels at the hidden wealth, Li Dafu rushes inside and frantically searches every corner, unable to understand how a young man like Chen could afford such opulence. Inside the apartment, Li Dafu finds only a fully stocked refrigerator and a safe filled with gold bars. There is no trace of his stolen inventory. Ashamed, he tries to retreat quietly. Chen stops him and calmly reminds him of their wager. Li Dafu attempts to beg his way out, asking for mercy, but Chen coldly rejects him, pointing out that Li showed none when he tried to frame him earlier. The crowd immediately sides with Chen, condemning the merchant's shameless behavior and agreeing that he brought this outcome upon himself. Humiliated and cornered, Li Dafu snaps and tries to strike Chen. In an instant, Chen counters, brutally twisting the shopkeeper's wrist. Li Dafu collapses in agony as the system absorbs a surge of pain from his suffering. Unable to endure it, Li Dafu hastily surrenders, promising to move the generator immediately. Chen releases him with a calm warning to hurry before the outside heat becomes fatal. As the broken merchant scrambles to comply, Chen silently mocks Li Dafu's bleak future without electricity. Satisfied as the system collects one final wave of fear and humiliation, Chen receives a frantic video call from Liu Wanqing, who complains that debt collectors have been following her for the past 2 days. She angrily demands an explanation, asking why the Dahai gang is targeting her and accusing Chen of tricking her into signing the contract. Putting on a wounded expression, Chen pretends to be deeply hurt and questions why she still doubts him after all the money he spent on her. While maintaining his innocent act, he notes internally that the gang is moving faster than he expected. Chen calmly asks whether the gang knows her current location. When Wanqing says she managed to shake them off but still suspects him, he dismisses her worries and suggests she is being paranoid. Her anger suddenly turns to shock when she notices a freshly prepared gourmet meal of grilled salmon on Chen's table. Stunned that he can enjoy such food during the crisis, she questions him. Chen casually drinks a soda and boasts that his supplies are more than enough. Sitting alone, Wanqing realizes that with the endless heatwave, food has become a luxury only the wealthy can afford. Seeing Chen's stockpile, she begins to wonder if he truly has made a fortune. Chen deliberately takes a bite of the fresh salmon and enjoys his cold drink, commenting on how perfect the meal is for the hot weather. Watching him eat, Wanqing is overwhelmed by hunger and envy. When Chen asks whether she has enough food, her tone instantly changes, and she pleads that she is terrified of being alone. Continuing her act, Wanqing claims the debt collectors are still nearby and asks to stay at Chen's place for a few days, hinting suggestively that she can keep him company. Disgusted by her behavior, Chen hides his feelings and agrees. He says he will pick her up in the evening, when the heat eases. When he mentions that she used to hide her address from him, she brushes it aside and calls him her protector. She sends her location, convinced she has found safety, unaware she is stepping straight into Chen's trap.
The woman stands in front of the mirror, calmly observing her reflection. Her posture and expression show confidence as she adjusts herself, fully aware of her appearance and the attention it draws. She settles onto the bed, placing her hand down with ease. The relaxed movement highlights her control over the situation, setting a quiet but deliberate tone. A man kneels before her, carefully attending to her feet while she sits comfortably above him. She allows it without hesitation, treating his actions as something natural and expected. Later, she reclines with a lighter in hand, watching the flame with a faint smile. Her calm gaze reflects her belief that only a carefree, indulgent life is worth living. A sudden knock interrupts her quiet moment. She turns toward the door, surprised by the urgency, clearly not expecting anyone to arrive so early. When she opens the door, she greets the visitor with a composed smile and casually questions the timing. Her tone remains light, as if she is trying to keep control of the situation. As she looks closer, her expression changes. Her eyes tense and a drop of sweat forms, signaling that she has realized something is wrong. Moments later, several men stand before her inside the room. Shocked, she questions how they found her location, realizing her private life has just been exposed. The man demands repayment of the money owed to his group, making it clear that it must be returned immediately. His tone leaves no room for negotiation. She panics and hurriedly explains that the money was borrowed by Chen Zhao, who deceived her into signing the agreement. She insists she was tricked and urges them to go after him instead. Ignoring her explanation, the man shoves the contract in her face and points out that her signature is clearly written in black and white. He snaps at her to stop making excuses. With no patience left, he orders his men to search the room and seize anything valuable. The situation escalates as her words are completely dismissed. The men begin tearing the room apart, knocking things over as they search aggressively. She shouts for them to stop and insists she is calling Chen Zhao to come back immediately. Unbothered by her warning, the leader lounges on the couch while the bags and jewelry are dumped out in front of him. He casually inspects the items, treating the chaos as routine. She stands frozen nearby, clutching herself in fear as her belongings are laid bare. The man dismisses the haul, remarking that the valuables barely cover the interest. With a cold smirk, he lifts one of the bags, clearly unsatisfied. His reaction makes it clear that this is far from over, and the pressure on her is only beginning. The leader reminds his men that they came all this way and cannot leave empty-handed. His words make it clear that walking away without payment is not an option. She desperately tries to stop them, insisting the money is not with her and begging them not to escalate the situation. Her voice carries panic as she shifts the blame elsewhere. The man listens in silence, his expression slowly turning into a knowing smirk. He studies her reaction, clearly unconvinced by her explanation. She hurriedly adds that Chen Zhao has supplies and will return soon, urging them to wait and demand the money from him instead. The tension thickens as her last hope hangs on his arrival. Under pressure, she quickly pulls out her phone and dials Chen Zhao, hoping to resolve the situation before it gets worse. The call fails immediately, and a recorded message informs her that the number is currently unavailable. Her grip tightens as unease sets in. She tries again, staring at the screen while it rings without an answer. Each second of silence deepens her anxiety. Lowering the phone, she admits that no one is answering. Her expression reveals growing fear as her last option slips away. She stares at her phone in disbelief, struggling to understand why the call isn't going through. Confusion and doubt creep into her expression. Trying to stay calm, she claims Chen Zhao must be busy and didn't hear the phone. She insists she will call again, hoping to delay what's coming. The leader suddenly explodes, grabbing her clothes and calling her foolish for trusting Chen Zhao. He bluntly states that Chen Zhao never intended to repay the money. Stunned by the accusation, she freezes in shock. The realization begins to sink in, leaving her speechless as the situation turns even darker. The leader suddenly grabs her, tightening his hold as she struggles and demands to be released. His grip makes it clear he has no intention of letting her go. Panicking, she shouts for them to find Chen Zhao instead, insisting he is the one who has what they want. Her plea comes out desperate and strained. She is dragged across the floor as her screams echo through the room. The men loom over her, completely ignoring her resistance. The door slams shut with force, cutting off any chance of escape. The situation turns dire as she is left trapped with no one coming to help. Her phone slips from her hand and shatters on the floor, the screen cracking as her cries cut off mid-call. Panic peaks as her last connection is destroyed. Elsewhere, Chen Zhao sits calmly in a quiet room, holding a glass of wine while working on his laptop. His phone lies nearby, ignored and silent. He casually swirls the drink and remarks that Liu Wanqing has good taste, treating the chaos he caused as nothing more than entertainment. Outside, the night city stands indifferent and still. The contrast makes it clear that while she is trapped in despair, he remains untouched and completely at ease. She collapses in the corner, sobbing uncontrollably as fear and regret overwhelm her. The room feels smaller as her situation fully sinks in. The leader turns away for a moment, listening while she cries behind him. Her breakdown only confirms how helpless she has become. He casually sets his cup down, his interest suddenly sharpened by something she mentioned earlier. The shift in his expression signals a new idea forming. Leaning close, he grips her chin and demands details about Chen Zhao's place and the valuables there. Her tears continue as she realizes she may have just revealed her next nightmare. Breaking down, she blurts out details about Chen Zhao's place, mentioning air conditioning, cold drinks, and plenty of food. Her words spill out as desperation takes over. She adds that his home has everything, clinging to the idea that sending them there might spare her. Each sentence sounds more frantic than the last. The leader's eyes narrow as interest hardens into a decision. He orders his men to go find Chen Zhao, declaring him the real target. She insists she has nothing left to give, her strength nearly gone. As he looks down at her coldly, it becomes clear that her fate no longer matters to them. She is thrown onto the bed and left there, completely drained and unable to resist anymore. The room falls silent as her fate is sealed. The leader stands back, calmly adjusting himself while looking down at her. A satisfied smile spreads across his face as he confirms his decision. With a mocking tone, he signals his men and announces it's time to move. His focus has fully shifted away from her. The door closes behind them as they leave the room behind. The mess and silence remain, marking the end of her ordeal and the beginning of their next target. Left alone in the ruined room, she curls up on the bed, clutching the torn sheets as her body trembles. The silence presses in, heavier than before. Tears fall as the truth finally settles. The betrayal she tried to deny now feels undeniable and absolute. The scene opens on a quiet city street at night, showing an empty road lined with buildings, creating a tense and uneasy atmosphere as something dangerous approaches. Heavy footsteps echo as a man steps forward with confidence, his polished shoes hitting the ground sharply, signaling that the group has reached their destination. A group of men walks together while discussing their target, explaining that the beast named Zio lives here and has plenty to eat and drink, but is extremely stingy and never shares even basic necessities. One of the men smirks and reassures the others that once they get what they want, there will be plenty of benefits for them, making their intentions clear as they move closer. The boy eagerly thanks Brother Jiang, praising his generosity and saying it is no surprise he could become a big boss, while acting overly obedient in front of him. Brother Jiang casually tells the boy that helping him is no big deal, and even offers him a place to live, pretending to be kind as the people behind him watch silently. From above, the group is seen standing in the middle of the road near a parked car, confirming they have fully surrounded the area and are in control of the situation. Brother Jiang looks down with a sharp expression and senses something unusual, quietly realizing that this kid is not as simple as he appears. The group arrives in front of the apartment building at night, spreading out as they face the entrance while one man steps forward, ready to force his way inside. A muscular man confidently volunteers to kick the door down, boasting in front of Brother Jiang as he charges ahead without hesitation. The moment his foot hits the ground, blue electric sparks suddenly surge around his shoe, shocking him instantly and stopping his attack mid-motion. As he screams in pain and collapses, the others freeze in shock, realizing that the target's place is protected and far more dangerous than they expected. The man collapses on the ground, convulsing from the shock, while one of his companions angrily curses him for failing at such a simple task. As someone tries to grab and pull him away, electric sparks spread further, showing that direct contact only worsens the situation. A terrifying shadowy figure forms within the crackling electricity, making the man scream for help as the power overwhelms him completely. The rest of the group stares in horror, their expressions shifting from arrogance to fear as they realize they have triggered something far beyond their control. As the electricity fades, a strange sound echoes through the night, drawing everyone's attention upward toward the rooftop. Brother Jiang and the boy look up in confusion, both clearly stunned as they struggle to understand what just activated. A loudspeaker on the roof suddenly turns on, its mechanical noise cutting through the silence as an unfamiliar voice begins to speak. The message calmly talks about good luck, blessings, and prosperity, making the situation even more unsettling as the group realizes this power is deliberate and controlled. The electric field surges again, blasting the trapped man with another wave of lightning as his screams echo through the street. Brother Jiang reacts in shock, swearing as he instinctively pulls back while the others hesitate, unsure whether to attack or retreat. Invisible systems register the group's fear, recording rising shock, panic, and speechlessness as the situation spirals out of control. From a safe distance, the mastermind calmly observes through a monitoring setup, explaining that they stepped directly onto a protective electric grid, confirming this was all planned. Brother Jiang angrily points at Chen Zio and demands he return the money, saying debts are a matter of principle and insisting they settle everything on the spot. One of the men mocks Chen Zio, accusing him of having money to renovate his place but refusing to pay his debts, openly questioning how he was raised. Inside the apartment, Chen Zio calmly sits back, casually holding a popsicle and watching the situation unfold without any sign of panic. He coolly states that the market price of his apartment is 4 million, making it clear that their demand for 3.5 million is insignificant to him. Chen Zio calmly rejects the accusation, saying that Liu Wanqing's debt has nothing to do with him, and they should take the issue up with her directly. Brother Jiang explodes in anger, sweating and shouting as he realizes the situation is slipping out of his control. Chen Zio warns that a wise man knows when to back down, suggesting they leave peacefully while he is still in a good mood. He casually presses a red button and coldly adds that if they keep looking for trouble, he will no longer be polite. The electric trap intensifies, and the man trapped inside screams in agony as the current surges violently through his body. A glowing, skull-like electric figure manifests within the lightning, terrifying the group as one of them shouts that they can't hold on any longer. Enraged, Brother Jiang steps forward gripping his weapon, his face twisted with fury as he prepares to retaliate. As the gang charges and threatens Chen Zio, the system detects a spike in anger, confirming the situation has fully escalated into open hostility. Brother Jiang's face twists with fear and frustration as he realizes the situation has completely slipped beyond his control. Outside, the apartment building is shown looming under an ominous red glow, signaling that something dangerous is still active around the area. The system registers the environment heating up rapidly, displaying an extreme temperature warning as the street below becomes unsafe. Meanwhile, Chen Zio relaxes inside his apartment, casually enjoying his food and calling it refreshing, completely unfazed by the chaos unfolding outside. News broadcasts warn that heatstroke deaths are increasing across the city, urging residents to stay indoors as extreme temperatures continue to rise. Inside his apartment, Chen Zio calmly looks at his phone, unfazed by the warnings or the chaos happening outside. Messages flood the community group chat, accusing him of being selfish for having food, water, and air conditioning while others suffer in the heat. The neighbors escalate their accusations, demanding Chen Zio come out and explain himself, openly blaming him for their worsening situation. Chen Zio casually drinks his beverage, remaining calm and relaxed despite the growing outrage and pressure outside. Without any urgency, he lowers his hand and looks at his phone, clearly unaffected by the accusations and threats aimed at him. A man stands before his massive stockpile of food and supplies inside a large refrigerator. He takes a photo of the well-stocked shelves with his phone. He shares the image to a group chat, boasting about his large stockpile and inviting others to sign up if they want some. His neighbors immediately respond, begging him to share food and deliver water to them. Chen Zio sends a firm message to the group chat, declaring that he isn't running a charity and will only trade his supplies for items of equal value. The neighbors erupt in anger, calling him a selfish brat and threatening him with karma, claiming he will suffer if they are left to starve. Unfazed by the insults and desperate threats, Chen Zio leans back and relaxes, completely indifferent to the chaos he caused in the chat. As he rests, a sudden chime rings out, and a mysterious notification appears, immediately catching his attention. As a holographic screen appears before him, Chen Zio is intrigued to discover a new ability called spatial cut. Curious about his newfound power, he decides to test it out on a simple apple sitting nearby. With a swift, sharp motion of his hand, he unleashes a blade of spatial energy that effortlessly slices the fruit in half. Seeing the lethal efficiency of the skill, Chen Zio smirks, noting that things are finally starting to get interesting. A bright orange vehicle drives through the quiet city streets late at night. A woman wearing red high heels steps out of the car onto the pavement. She stands confidently in an elegant black dress, accompanied by a bodyguard. Other guards wait as a mysterious man sits in the back of the vehicle, exhaling a cloud of smoke. A scarred man smokes a cigar with a serious expression while standing outside a residential complex. An older man in his group asks if this is the location where Chen Zhao lives. The scarred man confirms that their target resides in the innermost building. He then makes a bold move, placing his hand on the woman standing beside him as they prepare to move in. Brother Liu questions the woman about her past with Chen Zhao, asking if she will feel any regret as they prepare to raid his home. She quickly reassures him, claiming her heart belongs only to him and that she has no lingering feelings for her ex. To prove her loyalty, she insults Chen Zhao as a useless piece of trash, making it clear she views him with nothing but contempt. With their cold-blooded plans set in motion, the pair maliciously declares that tonight will be the final date of Chen Zhao's life. Two homeowners from the complex approach Brother Liu's group, eagerly offering their assistance to hunt down Chen Zhao. They explain that they know the area perfectly and are willing to block all escape routes to ensure he doesn't get away. Brother Liu accepts their offer, promising to share Chen Zhao's supplies with them if they help successfully capture him. Overjoyed by the potential reward, the neighbors lead the way, offering to take the group through a shortcut to reach their target faster. Chaos erupts in the residential complex as Brother Liu's thugs begin forcefully clearing out the residents and seizing their meager belongings. Accompanied by his elite guards and the woman, Brother Liu marches through the area, guided by the neighbors who foolishly believe they are on the same side. One of the neighbors is horrified to find his own home being raided, but a thug coldly informs him that the entire building now belongs to Brother Liu. The remaining residents scream in desperate protest, pleading that they did nothing to provoke such a violent and heartless takeover of their homes. The neighbors realize their mistake too late, regretting their greed and their foolish decision to trust such ruthless beasts. Brother Liu and his armed gang stand tall, prepared to use force to seize total control of the complex. A massive mob of thugs gathers in front of the building, heavily outnumbering any potential resistance as they prepare to move in. Suddenly, Chen Zhao appears and confronts the crowd, catching them off guard by hurling a sofa directly at them using his power. Chen Zhao calmly finishes his meal even as he is confronted by a large, hostile group. He nonchalantly asks if everyone has gathered there just to find him. Brother Liu warns him that death is near and demands he surrender his supplies to avoid a brutal end. Completely unfazed by the threat of imminent death, Chen Zhao simply wipes his mouth with a napkin. Chen Zhao scolds the group for their lack of manners, asking if their parents ever taught them not to disturb someone while they are eating. Infuriated by his calm attitude, Brother Liu loses his patience and orders his men to charge and cripple him. The gang members immediately launch a coordinated assault, rushing toward him with various weapons drawn. Despite being surrounded by a mob of armed thugs, Chen Zhao remains perfectly composed as the first wave of attacks reaches him. Chen Zhao effortlessly dodges an incoming punch, grabbing the attacker by the head before he can even recover. He slams the man's face into the concrete with devastating force, shattering the ground and leaving him incapacitated. As another thug attempts a surprise attack with a spiked flail, Chen Zhao remains perfectly composed and prepared. While still holding down his first opponent, he delivers a powerful kick that sends the second attacker flying across the pavement. A thug charges at Chen Zhao, swinging a heavy axe directly at his head with lethal intent. Chen Zhao remains unfazed, mockingly asking if they are forcing him to use spatial segmentation as he prepares to counter. He throws a yellow canister toward Brother Liu and his remaining group, catching them completely off guard. The canister hits the ground and immediately erupts into a massive, blinding cloud of smoke, masking the area in chaos. Coughing from the smoke, Brother Liu realizes it's tear gas and, suspecting an accomplice, orders his group to retreat immediately. After successfully driving off the attackers, Chen Zhao stands firm as the remaining gang members flee into the night. A mysterious silhouette emerges from the haze, acknowledging the chaos Chen Zhao caused while praising his impressive combat skills. Turning to face the unexpected visitor with a stern expression, Chen Zhao demands to know why they have appeared. The mysterious visitor is revealed to be a man in a floral shirt, casually tossing a canister in his hand. He asks Chen Zhao if he is still in the market for guns, suggesting they have a history of trading.